Americans playing in the DFB Pokal in Germany had an up and down, and then up again sort of day. Philipp Lahm appears to have annoyed his bosses. Qatar is spending the rough equivalent of Afghanistan's GDP to put on the 2022 World Cup. A stay in the hospital might cure game-sold-out-itis. And introducing the Ricky Bobby of Argentina. It's Thursday, February 9th. I'm Taylor Rockwell, and you are listening to The Goalmouth, a podcast collaboration between Dirty Tackle, Howler Magazine, and The Total Soccer Show. We're apparently a more reputable news source than the Daily Mail. Just ask Wikipedia. Up first, Wednesday was a topsy-turvy day for Americans in Germany. Christian Pulisic played the entire second half and all of extra time as his Borussia Dortmund side knocked Hertha Berlin and U.S. teammate John Brooks out of the DFB Pokal, so that's good. The match went to penalties, which Dortmund did end up winning 3-2, but Pulisic missed his chance from the spot, so that's bad. Meanwhile, Andrew Wooten scored for Sandhausen against Schalke in the Cup, so that's good. But Sandhausen went on to lose 4-1. That's decidedly bad. And finally, Timmy Chandler's Eintracht Frankfurt eliminated Hannover 96 2-1, so that's definitely good. Chandler got himself and his team an assist, courtesy of a perfectly chipped ball after a blistering run down the right flank, which is also good. So that's a 6-4 victory for good over bad. Well done, USA. Even better is that Pulisic and Chandler will join fellow U.S. national teamers Fabian Johnson and Bobby Wood in the final stages of the DFB Pokal after those gentlemen booked their spots with positive results on Tuesday. Staying in Germany, as George told you on yesterday's episode, Bayern Munich defender Philipp Lahm announced his retirement on Wednesday, which came as a shock to both the international soccer community and, it seems, his bosses at Bayern. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, the club's CEO, released the following statement, quote, FC Bayern München is surprised by the approach of Philipp Lahm and his advisor. Uli Hoeneß and I have held open, intensive, and constructive talks with Philipp in recent months about a possible position as sporting director for our club. At the end of last week, he informed us that he is currently not available for such a position and that he would like an early termination of his player contract, which runs until June 2018 at the end of the current season. Until yesterday, we assumed that there would be a joint announcement on this decision by Philipp Lahm and FC Bayern München, end quote. They chose not to complete the rest of that thought, but I'll go ahead and do it for them. Then Lahm decided he would just go ahead and tell everyone on his own, and there's really nothing we can do about it because, he's Philipp Lahm. Promo news now, we're running a contest to give away a shirt from our friends over at whoareyadesigns.com. To enter, you have to assemble 5 words, one from each of the 5 Goalmouth episodes this week. You can then email the completed sentence to goalmouth@howlermagazine.com after Friday's episode, and the winning emailer will get to pick a shirt from the Who Are Ya Designs shop. Today's word is, drumroll, 4. Wait, it's 4. The word is 4, not drumroll. Drumroll is not the word, 4 is the word. I hope that was clear. If you can't wait to get some Who Are You Design swag or you don't trust random lotteries, you can head over there now and get 15% off your order by entering the promo code GOALMOUTH at checkout. Back to the news, and according to Qatar's finance minister, the country is spending almost $500 million a week on major infrastructure projects in preparation for the 2022 World Cup. That means that by the time the first ball is kicked in that tournament, the oil-rich nation will likely have spent over $200 billion getting ready. So that's an amazing figure, and this news definitely reads like 100% legitimate news, and not at all like something a marketing team would want to promote in order to show just how much work is going into making the 2022 World Cup the opposite of a dumpster fire. With that in mind, in late December, Qatar announced that it had ended its controversial labor program known as the Kafala system, which was a labor sponsorship program that required foreign workers to seek an employer's permission before changing a job or leaving the country. That all sounds good. Of course, then Amnesty International popped up to point out that they had essentially only changed the language and that the practice had more or less continued unabated. So well done, Amnesty International, for keeping us all informed. I'm personally just excited to see what comes after the next major news outlet reminds us all that the word Qatar and the phrase modern slavery appear together far too often. I'm thinking the Minister of Puppy Parties will announce that everyone in the world is getting a puppy party. That should probably do it. And now the answer to the age-old question, what do you do if you want to see your team play, but the box office is sold out? Well, if you're one Juventus fan, the answer is obvious. Check yourself into the hospital. According to the Italian website Reggio Informa, one Juventus fan tried to check himself into the St. John of God Hospital in Crotone. I'm guessing I'm mispronouncing that, so I apologize, Italian listeners. That location also just so happens to overlook FC Crotone's stadium. Indeed, from certain rooms in certain departments, it seems a patient can see pretty much the entire pitch. The fan in question was deemed to be in good health and was turned away, and doesn't necessarily get points for being an innovator, given that a similar incident occurred when the two sides were both in Serie B back in the 2006-2007 season. What I find myself wondering is what departments specifically have a view of the pitch. That's a very important element to consider here, because if it's something straightforward, then that's one thing. But if it's the infectious disease ward or something of that kind, I'm not sure the ensuing thousands of dollars in medical bills would make the trip worthwhile. And finally, if you've never seen the Will Ferrell masterpiece known as Talladega Nights, then you are missing out and you should probably rectify that immediately. However, there's a particular part of the film that I think merits mentioning here. There's a scene in which Ricky Bobby covers the entire windshield with a Fig Newtons advertisement, prompting the race commentator to note that Ricky Bobby never met a sponsor that he wouldn't push. Well, Argentinian fifth-tier side Centenario de Neuquén certainly remembered this scene. Last season, they had 32 sponsors on their kit. This season, it's 52. In seeking to explain the decision to make their jersey look like it had been tagged by a bunch of corporate graffiti artists, I'm sure the Centenario de Neuquén owners would have been happy to paraphrase Mr. Bobby. These logos are extremely numerous and borderline silly, but we do love making money. Meanwhile, somewhere in Manchester, I can only assume that Ed Woodward rubbed his chin and quietly whispered, "Challenge accepted." That's it for today's Goalmouth. You can explore all these stories in more depth by subscribing to our newsletter. The link is in the show notes. I've been Taylor Rockwell. Ryan Bailey will be with you tomorrow. But until then, here's today's Goalmouth top tip. If you ain't first in the Argentinian 5th Division, you're last.